One to beat 4 Like a Smile. Here's what Tate punters have made of it in the last 20 minutes or so with Dan Malicki.
And Peter, Chlorophyll is still the firm favourite, even though it's her first try at the mile. She's at 2.90 and 160. Like a Smile, 8.60, 2.80. Miss Margaret showing $5.50. Horse number 8 is Courtly Qualms, $8.80 and $2.30. To number 11, Rose of Portland, $4.80 and $1.70. And you can see some of the others of big odds there. Gold City at about 15.80 is about the 6th favourite in the race. And the win and place pools are at massive proportions, almost $500,000 in the win pool at the moment. So the favourite and very firm is Chlorophyll as she shoots for her 12th career victory from 23 starts. The Derby, Anthems at $7.70, Alpha 3 even, Entergaze $10, Magic of Sydney 12, Adventurers 14, Mustang Ranch 8, Ebony Grove also at $8. And the second page horses, Dual Dilemma 26, Portland Player 9, Prince Miasma 37, Prattler 40, Tombola 72, and Peter Kim Commander looks like being the rank outsider in the Amy Derby at $102.
So thank you, Dan. Alpha the favourite in the Derby, and as far as this one is concerned, Chlorophyll, as Dan mentioned, going for her 12th win, and this is for a hat-trick after having won at Flemington and Caulfield. Tremendously colourful scene down here in the mounting yard. We were just remarking how much different it is when you've got the blue sky and the sun, and that's exactly what we've got today, a perfect day. Standing in the shade at the moment, but for a good reason, is Tim Gossage. Chlorophyll, is she pretty short there, Timothy?
She is, Peter. In fact, she about $2, 2 to 1 on the tote, but you can't get that in the ring. She has been the best back runner in the race. Also, Miss Margaret and Hello Dale, 24 to 1 on the tote. You can only get half of that in the bookmaker's ring. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? That was my Marcel Marceau impression before.
Yes, very nice. You've got a big career in mind coming up in front of you, Tim, if all else fails. There's the map for the third event. Once again, 1,600 metres, and so they'll start over by the river. Now, the size of the field here, we've got one scratching, so a field of 15, so you might see a few of these getting caught deep at the first turn, and invariably the ones who do have to go forward. Miss Margaret for Jenny Chapman looking for 3 in a row, and the boys have stuck with Chlorophyll, myself, John Letts and Richard Friedman. So they're on their way to the stalls now for race 3, the Hardy Brothers Classic, 1,600 metres. Chlorophyll leads them out. We'll be back at Flemington in just a moment. And there is the scene from up above as they're about to move into the stalls for the third race, the Hardy Brothers Classic. Roy Higgins has been casting an eye over the field, not quite from the same height as the Whitman's Lightship, Roy, but you've still had a good look at them.
It would be wonderful from up there. We'd get a very good view of them, wouldn't we? As what we've got to keep in mind here, there's 1,600 metres at this start here. There are some very, very good mares racing in this race. And the barrier, I think, is going to play a major part. Excuse me. That's why I went with the 11 and the 5, which is Rose of Portland and Miss Margaret. Now, they're both drawn 3 and 4. They're both very good mares and both capable of sitting up near the speed. Certainly the one, Chlorophyll, she's an excellent mare. She'll give you a good sight, but she's drawn out in 13. She'll need the early breaks. And look for a big run from number 8, Courtly Qualms. She has drawn out a bit also, but she's on the up. So, in the mares race here, race 3 on the program, I did like the 11. I marked her on top of the 5, 1 and the 8.
Thanks to Roy Higgins from Sport 927 with his thoughts on the third event. And Roy likes Rose of Portland. There's Stevie King on the mare behind the gates. And let's see what he had to say prior to the running of the third event.
What other than recent runs?
Yeah, definitely. The conditions should suit the firm track, and you know, the top weight's a bit of a worry because it did beat us fair and square the other day, and it does mean it's a lot better on weight. So, you know, it's going to be a nice race for Rose of Portland, but I'm a little bit concerned about the top weight.
Yes, well, I think that concern, Jen, is probably well-founded because there's no question about the fact that Chlorophyll is a very, very smart mare.
Yes, not only that, she's versatile as well too, Pete. She can run on all sorts of going as well. So here on the hard track, she does look pretty hard to beat in this race, but I'm just going for the value with number 5, Miss Margaret. I
just see a familiar face over here in the mounting yard with his bag, and that is one of our finest jockeys in Brent Thompson, who's here to ride Desert Chill today.
Yes, of course, he's been riding overseas for many, many years now in England, and he's back. He's based on the Gold Coast, and he's come back and he's riding plenty of winners up there as well.
I took him to Moonee Valley a couple of weeks ago before the Cox Plate, Jen, and started to reminisce about some of his great moments there. Of course, 4 Cox Plates, the first on Fury's Order on that very wet day back in 1975, and then the last of them being on the Great Dulcify. What a win that was.
Oh, what a horse he was, and it was a tragic way to see him go, wasn't it?
Okay, they're getting set in the gates now. That's Suma Peace in the dark blue with the gold spots and the red cap. Chlorophyll moves up with Miss Margaret, and the men watching them move into the gates are Dan and Gary.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Terrific field of mares, the Hardy Brothers Classic. Simon Marshall rode Auntie Mary to win this race last year. Gary, I noticed Rose of Portland sweating up a little bit.
Yes, well, she's done that occasionally, Dan, but her mum could do that occasionally. Rose of Kingston, I reckon she was one of the best mares I ever threw a leg over. I won the AJC Derby on her, and you wouldn't believe it, the day after I won the Derby on her, a chap came along on a motorbike and ran into her, and we had 6 horses there and he had to hit her. But, she came back and she won the Kunji Handicap and a couple other good weight for age races, but she was a great horse.
And she's already thrown a great horse in the past that's become famous on the first Tuesday in November.
Certainly, Kingston Rule, yes. Ridden by Darren Beedman, trained by Bart Cummings. But, gee, I like a smile on this, Dan. I thought, you know, she's an outstanding mare when she's right.
Yeah, Group 1 winner, Australasian Oaks winner. And the last couple coming up, we have Eastern Zone to be the last one to go into the gate. So they look to be ready now. Hardy Brothers Classic for mares. Racing. Caught them in a fair line. Eastern Zone and Hello Dale are going to settle down at the tail of the field. Chlorophyll won the jump away. Syracuse, Country Lane and Miss Margaret were all prominent, followed by Smooth Flow. Just in behind them, Rose of Portland from near the inside. Then Flying Flight whipping around them. And then midfield on the inside as they'd settle down now was Gold City. About a length to Courtly Qualms and Like a Smile. Then Syracuse and Sumar Peace. Eastern Zone and Hellodale will settle last, about 10 lengths off the leader, which is All Lead. Going to the 1100. It's being tackled now. They're going around it and whipping through in the centre of the field there. Flying Flight is going up to take these leaders on. And they head towards the 950 and kicking through again. All Lead. Smooth Flow in the centre. So we've got a line of 3 and they really clap on the speed now. Chlorophyll settles in the 4th place. We've got a lovely run across the field to be 1 away from the rail. Rose of Portland's on its inside, a half to Miss Margaret, a length and a half to Country Lane and Sardana. Then Gold City, further back to Courtly Qualms, just a little bit wide around Like a Smile. And then Syracuse on the inside as they turn for home. Eastern Zone, Sumar Peace and Hellodale last of all. 550 to go and the bolts are All Lead, led into the straight from Smooth Flow and Flying Flight. Just in behind them was Chlorophyll trying to ease out. Miss Margaret making its run. Chlorophyll's put under pressure and Miss Margaret has sprinted up to take the lead. 300 to go. Chlorophyll can't win and Miss Margaret dashed away. Rose of Portland getting through now into second and then Gold City followed by Like a Smile. Miss Margaret in front. Gold City coming at it now and on the rails. Rose of Portland. A great go. Rose of Portland. Gold City. Rose of Portland. Rose of Portland's just got through to win a nose to Gold City. Miss Margaret third, then Like a Smile, Hello Dale. Further back then to All Lead, it ran a great race. Syracuse ran on well. Sumar Peace next, and they were followed by Eastern Zone. Further back then to Chlorophyll, just couldn't get the trip from Courtly Qualms. Country Lane next in, Smooth Flow and Flying Flight, who went very hard early, have pulled up at the tail.
Yeah, great ride by Stephen King here, Dan. He was trapped at the 400 metres. I thought he was in awful trouble. He had Simon Marshall on his outside. Here they are, here it is, Rose of Portland. He's just sort of starting to get this run through here as we run it forward now. And that's him, one for the
Number
inside.
11's got it. Rose of Portland, the winner.
Old cap. Looked like Miss Margaret was going to win here. But a beautiful ride by Stephen King to get this run and get up inside here. Going through now, Miss Margaret still in front. There comes Rose of Portland, and Gold City's the one making ground right on 3 from the rail. But as Dan called it, Rose of Portland poked that head out and won. She's got a mother's good determination to win.
Wasn't much in it. I dare say it was a short half fed, because if it's anything more than a short half fed, the photo will be through very quickly. It took quite a few seconds today, but from the good barrier, gee, that must help a lot over the 1600. Cool Choice, who won the first race, drew barrier number 1, and Rose of Portland here also drew down towards the inside.
Well, here we go here, Dan. You can see Stevie King won from the inside rail there. Miss Margaret's clear here. And there's Stephen King. He's starting to get on the fence now. He'll get that run on and get up inside Miss Margaret. And then Gold City's the one on the outside in the green with the red hat. But this is a great shot. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, a nose will be the winning margin. 11, 10 and 5 are the numbers. Stephen King, a Melbourne Cup winning jockey, is with Johnny Letts.
Hey, Steve, you won by a nose, and when I viewed it, I said, what do you think? You said, I've won it, so you're not a bad judge in a tight one.
Yeah, that's right, Johnny. I was pretty confident I got there.
Steve, you look like you was in a little bit of trouble turning for home, getting a run.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of trouble getting out, but eventually when I did get the run, you know, she did extend, and it was good because I had someone to chase, like Miss Margaret.
Yeah, gee, she's a very consistent filly, isn't she, your mare? And, like, any excuses that day when she ran second?
Oh, probably, you know, you changed my run with Chlorophyll's and I'll probably beat her, but, you know, she's been going very well. She's consistent. And it was a shame, you know, we hit them wet tracks.
Yeah, well, she's proved it today that she's better on top of the ground. And congratulations, Stephen. Good luck in the big ones coming up over the carnival.
Thanks, John.
Could be a formidable combination, Stephen King and Lee Friedman, who trains Rosa Portland, Peter.
Well, every cloud has a silver lining. You were looking Caulfield Cups at one stage, but I suppose comparatively Little Fisher Sweet too.
Well, it's lovely to win on Derby Day, and this mare's been a terrifically consistent mare all season, and it's nice for her to win a Group 3.
Did you despair when you couldn't qualify for the Caulfield Cup?
Not really. I mean, those things happen. You just take that in your stride. And I said to David, well, what we should do is switch the attack now and concentrate on this race and perhaps the prize the next week.
Wasn't it a lovely, patient ride too?
A great ride, but he's a top jockey, Stephen. But I think good barriers help make good rides too. She had a lovely run in behind the speed all the way and got the split just at the right time.
Just one other point, Doremus worked on the course proper here this morning. How was his work?
I was very happy with his work. Yeah, he worked well. He gave a stablemate a good 5-length start, and the Gallup will beat him easily. And he's pulled up terrific. And I'd just like probably a little bit of rain.
Thanks for your time. I am quite sure we'll be talking to you at some stage of the remainder of the carnival.
Well, I hope so. It's nice talking to you.
Thanks, mate. Lee Friedman, the winning trainer here with Rosefield Cup favourite. They had to abandon plans when she couldn't qualify, but she's come back now, and what a delightful ride it was by Stephen King, persevering with rails runs and getting right through and carrying those famous colours, almost the Kingston Town colours. Kingston Town carried a red cap when he raced, but it's still the gold with the red striped sleeves that have been carried by so many great horses over the years, including the horse that won the Melbourne Cup here 6 years ago in Kingston Rule. Number 11, Rose of Portland, the winner. Number 10, Gold City in second placing. And number 5, Miss Margaret, third. They're returning to scale. We'll be back to Flemington shortly with the tote dividends after the correct weight signal on the Hardy Brothers Classic.
Amy Victoria Derby Day at Flemington, and looking an absolute picture, everyone having a ball here. It's actually quite a subdued and peaceful day. I guess the weather's got a bit to do with that. They're parked under trees, they're parked in the shade because it is getting just a tad warm out there. A lovely breeze blowing, but just a magnificent day. We're after correct weight from Des Gleeson. There's the last of the jockeys, so one more to go.
53.
Weighing in with all the gear. Make sure Mr. Gleeson is happy. He'll go over to the stand. Sidestep a jockey.
11, 10, 5,
and hopefully
4,
give us
3,
correct weight.
Correct weight.
And correct weight is there for Rose of Portland. Only one more race now away from the Derby, the Wakeful to go, and then the Amy Victoria Derby, which is going to be a terrific race this year. All looking forward to it. And there's the crowd really enjoying it. Incidentally, speaking of the Derby, I mean, it's been won by some fabulous horses over the years. Do you remember anyone back home, the classic year of 57, when Tulloch won just about everything that year? Danny, we've got dividends ready.
Tim Rose of Portland, $4.70 and $1.70 officially from 10 Gold City, $3.70, and 5 Miss Margaret, $1.80. Quinella, $48.10. The trifecta for $1, $399.30, and the running double, $28.60. All of the details of totes that appear on the screen are all for $1 a dividend. Winning margin was a short half head with a half a neck between second and third, so we've been privy to see some very close photo finishing. Fourth was number 4, Like a Smile. Fifth, number 3, Hello Dale. The time was 1 minute and 36 seconds. Rose of Portland in those very famous colours, winning the Group 3 Hardy Brothers Classic.
Yes, indeed, some close finishes, and that's the way you like to see racing. And there is Rose of Portland, winner of the Hardy Brothers Classic. They're ready for the presentations. Here's Rob Gaylor.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The presentations for the Hardy Brothers Classic, a Group 3 event here on Derby Day. Representing the VRC is Sally Churnside. To begin our presentations, I introduce to you Mr. John McKinney, Chairman of Hardy Brothers.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here today on Derby Day. The VRC has certainly known how to turn on the weather today. Hardy Brothers are very proud to be here representing this race in particular, but we also manufacture the Melbourne Cup for the VRC, which is going to be raced, of course, on Tuesday. It's been a tradition with our company, which is represented in Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney. It gives me a great deal of pleasure today to offer congratulations to the winners, Mr. and Mrs. David Haynes and Mr. Norman Bonida. We've all wished, of course, that we could play golf like Norman. My God, I wish I could. But anyway, he's won a race for me, and that's probably the closest I'll ever get to it. Lee Friedman, the trainer, and of course the jockey, Stephen King. Congratulations to everybody. Commiserations to Chlorophyll, the owners of Chlorophyll, who were going for our Hardy Brothers bonus. We're sorry that they didn't make it. Well, you know, I had the gift certificate in my pocket here, ready for them, but I don't have to pull it out. Thank you very much. And Kathy Haynes is...
And thank you indeed. Presentations, just one of many you'll see over the next week. Well, the Wakeful is next, but Peter Donegan, as I cross down to you for your thoughts on the Wakeful, just continuing that thought from 1957, you and I were both too young. It must have been an extraordinary year. You know, Tulloch won the race that year at 10-1 on, and then won it by 8 lengths and won just about everything. I think 14 from 16 that year. You would have liked to have been around, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he was a fair sort of horse. Everyone I've ever spoken to, Tim, about Tulloch has just raved about him. And interesting story about Tulloch comes to light in the video that examines the life of Gay and her father TJ, about TJ saying that there's been this myth around that the owner was the one who scratched Tulloch from the Melbourne Cup, but Tommy's finally admitted it was actually him.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, speaking of successful people, the Haynes family have got a winner there with Rose of Portland.
Yes.
And speaking of the fillies too, Jen, on this warm day, as we can see, we'll be keeping a close eye on them before this race, the Qantas Wakeful Stakes, because the fillies and the mares can get a little upset in the hot weather.
Well, it's a very good point too, Pete, and we'll just see how these fillies do parade, and as they go to the mounting yard, just to keep an eye on them, whether or not this heat is going to affect them. But it does look to be a terrific race coming up, the Wakeful Stakes, and I've got to say, I think number 10, Superb Lady, has a bit of a chance in this.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. It was around about 12-1 in the paper, but it was 4 wide all the way at Caulfield and was still whacking away at the finish, and I thought she was going to be in the finish at about 150 metre mark, but I like the way she just kept on going.
Well, the important thing here is too, she's meeting Dashing Eagle and Assertive Lass 4.5 kilos better in this particular race.
All right, let's have a look at the totes and see what she's come up. Dashing Eagle, though, Dan, will be the favourite.
Yeah, very short, $2.10 and money back $1, Pete. Dashing Eagle. Assertive Lass at $13. At good odds, a lot of these good fillies are Scorbic $29, Darrow Bay $10, Danendry $12, Simply Believe $20, 8 is Tambor at $9.80, Karma Biding at $10, Superb Lady $9.60, My Bridey at $22.30, Countess Carmen $73, Play for Aim, the rank outsider, and Tennessee Rhythm not far off it. We're getting closer to the Amy Victoria Derby at $2.45, and the favourite for it is Alpha, still at $3 and $2.40. Anthem's about second favourite at $7.60, $8.70 for Mustang Ranch, $8 for Ebony Grove, and number 9, Portland Player, well in the market at $9.20. He'll be wearing the same or similar colours to Rose of Portland in the previous event. So that's the Derby totes. That is 64 minutes away, the Amy Victoria Derby. The next, of course, is the Wakeful at 5 minutes after 2 Eastern summertime.
And the scratching is number 2, Zaya. So we have a field in the Wakeful Stakes of 13. It's always been a great guide for the Oaks, and this year should be no exception. Well, I think the bookmakers probably would have got something there with Chlorophyll being beaten, but Tim Gossage, I suspect the winner was also pretty well backed.
Peter, exactly right. There was some late specking for Rose of Portland, but they did get a fair bit back, in fact, from Chlorophyll and also Miss Margaret. In the next, Dashing Eagle is a raging hot favourite, just in the black. There's about 6 or 7 other chances in under double figure odds. given each way chances, and I can't believe it. Everyone's tipped Superb Lady on the course. Yourself and Jen, someone come and tugged my coat and said Superb Lady, and she's a maiden after 11 starts.
Yeah, well, that could all change today, Tim. You never know. Tim Gossage in the betting ring. And while you're there, any action Derby-wise? Have they made Alpha an even shorter price favourite?
At the moment, no. Alpha still is the favourite. Only 1 point separating Alpha and Intergaze. A bit of money around for Anthems and also Ebony Grove. And the only other runner under double figures is Mustang Ranch. But still Alpha dominating the market.
Nice and cool down there in the shade, is it?
Absolutely beautiful, thank you.
All right, well, just so long as you're happy, Tim. And we spoke about the fillies. How's this filly going? It's a bit warm, isn't it?
It is a bit warm.
But we can't complain about it, can we?
No, not at all. After the last few years, we've been freezing and cold. And, well, it's interesting that the Dashing Eagle is the favourite here, Pete, because, I mean, she's just been quite an outstanding filly, and no doubt she's going to be extremely hard to beat.
All right, well, the fillies are certainly taking centre stage today, and one filly who is going to take centre stage is Priscilla Presley. She's going to be down here in the mounting yard. She's going to be talking to Gai Waterhouse and Darren Beedman. And, well, she is the centre of attention. There she is in the background, and I think we'll be getting a better glimpse of her, Tim, down here in the mounting yard, and I'm sure you're pretty jealous.
Yes, I am, and I think Sandra Sully's going to have a chat to Priscilla in her marquee as well. Pretty warm up here too, Pete, but then again, I've got aircraft landing lights pointed at me, and that doesn't help very much. Now listen, just a reminder too, while I've got a little minute, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, you can see the NBL Grand Final game, The Game. It's one apiece between the Magic and the Tigers. Magic won last night, so that's 2 o'clock right around Australia. Tomorrow you can see the final game in the NBL Grand Final Series. Do not miss it, but from here at Flemington, we'll take a break. And been great racing so far, and the Derby and the McKinnon are still to come.
Imagine a...
Welcome back to Flemington. Decided to come outside and have a look at the birdcage again. My cameraman just takes a little pan over there. There's Alpha, the closest horse. There's your favourite in the Amy Victoria Derby. Looking pretty relaxed and just getting himself prepared. Comes to this stall, of course, and there's another cameraman going to get right in our way. But there he is, and a lot of interest. There's a lot of people packed around Alpha here to have a look at him, and he's just getting himself geared up for the Victoria Derby. Do you like the suit out? Looks better outside than it looks inside, doesn't it? My Dom Bagnato suit. Thank you, Dom. Dom supplies all of our fellas with their suits for the carnival, and you do a beautiful job, there's no doubt about it. Let's go down to the 10 marquee, where Sandra Sully is, of course.
Hi, Tim. Yes, joining me now is Frances O'Connor, the star of a terrific little Australian movie which I've actually seen and adore. It's called Love and Other Catastrophes. Welcome to Derby Day.
Hi.
You, this is your first one, so you're a little bit overwhelmed, I said.
A little, yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about the movie. It's a quirky comedy shot in 3 weeks. Why the rush?
Because we didn't have any money, so we kind of had to shoot it very quickly. And also, Emma Kate and Stavros, that was kind of their point of doing it. They wanted to create... they didn't want to go through the normal funding body, so they wanted to create a film that had a lot of energy and youthful kind of energy about it. So we decided just to do it with a very small kind of budget.
Now, a low-budget movie that's actually winning critical acclaim. You've been nominated for Best Actress at the upcoming AFRs.
Yeah.
That must be a terrific achievement for you. This is your first feature film.
Yeah, it was a bit of a buzz, because I mean, we didn't even think that it was going to get a release, so for it to come this far is great.
Now, your first Spring Carnival, first Derby Day. What are your impressions so far?
Good, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty warm day, but yeah, a lot of people, a lot of hats.
And you tip quickly? You tip quickly?
I think Alpha.
Okay, you and
that's my tip.
All right, you and so many others, Tim, seem to be going for Alpha today. Thanks, Frances, for joining us. Thanks, Tim.
Sandra, thank you. I'll tell you what, that was pretty amazing. As soon as Alpha went, so did the crowd. There was heaps around here having a look at him, and he's gone, and so have the crowd from the birdcage. But this will give you a rough idea of the sort of crowd at the Derby today. A lot of people right around the racecourse, and I will be fascinated to find out how many people there are here. All right, let's continue the quick whip around Flemington Racecourse. Here's Lynn Talbot.
Oh, you cruel person. Well, look, I'm here on the members' lawn with Countess Gwenali Moraldi, and she is, in fact, the UK editor, fashion editor of the UK magazine Country Life. Has lived in London for the last 20 years, but is home in Melbourne. Is it nice to be home?
fabulous. It's just wonderful. The sunshine and all my friends and family and just Australia, really. It's great, really great.
Now, look, I do have to ask you, can you compare Ascot to Derby Day here at Flemington?
Absolutely. The same wonderful sort of excitement. The magnificent horses, of course. I mean, we attract here the greatest horse flesh in the world, so yes, absolutely. And the fashions, the happy atmosphere, yes, absolutely.
Now, can you tell me about the men's fashions today?
Well, Australian men obviously do not like to follow tradition. This is pretty obvious. They're all in their suits, even their sort of summer party time suits, whereas at Ascot men would be dressed in tailcoats, and no matter how hot they'll still be there in their finery and sometimes top hats, mostly actually.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us, and enjoy judging fashion on the field.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lenny, thank you very much, and we've just come down to have a look at some more of the horses. Count Shivers is behind me. You can have a quick look at him. While I tell you that throughout this week we're going to feature some of the true legends of racing, legends in their sport, and if there are any legends, then this man is certainly at the top of the list. He built a racing dynasty. As you look at Count Shivers, have a look at Colin Hayes.
This is the horse stud that Colin Hayes built, and this is Colin Hayes.
Now turn away from us, Tom, so we can get the horse out there more.
Hayes is one of the treasures of Australian racing, and at 72, he's still going strong.
If your hobby's your work, your life goes terribly quickly and pleasantly.
It all began 40 years ago when Hayes purchased a training property at Semaphore in Adelaide. His first horse was Surefoot.
I rode him myself in a flat race at Cheltenham before I was married, before Betty and I were married. And unbeknownst to Betty, I put our honeymoon money on him.
Just for the record, Surefoot finished third at 66 to 1. Hayes was soon looking for a bigger stable, and it wasn't long before he purchased Lindsay Park at Angaston, 75 kilometres northeast of Adelaide.
We bought this property, Lindsay Park, in 1965, and it took me 5 years to get it as I wanted it.
And in the years that followed, Hayes achieved extraordinary success, training a Commonwealth record 5,333 winners. Among them, 2 Melbourne Cups. He topped the Trainers' Premiership 41 times, 28 in Adelaide and 13 in Melbourne.
There you go, Michelle. Yes. I'll grab that call.
Thank you. Hayes retired as a trainer in 1990 and now looks after the multi-million-dollar breeding business at Lindsay Park. He's one of the stud's biggest owners, and every morning at breakfast discusses his best chances with oldest son and now head trainer Peter Hayes. But the pair don't always see eye to eye.
It's a 50-50 thing. I mean, we generally come to some sort of consensus.
Hayes' youngest son, David, is in his second season as a trainer in Hong Kong. He says Dad's played a big part in his life.
He's had an enormous influence. You know, basically everything I know is been passed down from my father, and actually when he retired I inherited 40 years experience.
Fallings clear in the Cox Plate and Jenna Bolton.
Hayes has experienced many highs over the years, including this victory in the country's best weight for age race.
Dulcify brilliantly wins the Cox Plate by 6 lengths.
Probably Dulcify's Cox Plate win was the most memorable.
But the same horse also provided Hayes with his saddest moment. In 1979, Dulcify broke down during the Melbourne Cup and was destroyed.
Well, I was quite devastated because the expectations were so high. He beat the actual winner, he beat in the Cox Plate by 15 lengths. And then he was trotting when it happened, and it was Hyperno that galloped on him, and stripped him behind and broke his pelvis.
Hayes says he's achieved most of his goals, and while he's still busy, he says that's what keeps him going.
Your attitude toward life generally and it has to be positive if you're going to enjoy your life to its utmost and appreciate all the things around you.
Yes, one of the true gentlemen of any business, not just the racing business. 49 minutes to the Amy Victoria Derby, counting down. But before that, of course, the Wakeful. Here's Peter and Jenny.
Thank you, Tim. These fillies are in the mounting yard, and one filly who attracted a bit of attention about 10 minutes ago when she walked through the mounting yard was Priscilla Presley.
Sure did, and looking absolutely stunning too, Pete.
Well, you're a better judge of those things than I am, Tim.
I'm sure you had a little look for yourself.
Yeah, had a quick look. Now, the horseflesh here in race number 4, the Qantas Wakeful Stakes, and of course, Gay Waterhouse is taking a good look at these fillies. One of hers is Assertive Lass, but first of all, here's the man who's made the Wakeful Stakes his own, Bart Cummings, and he's got Dashing Eagle here, the favourite, attempting a 12th win in the Wakeful.
Well, Pete, get a look at her on screen here. She's just an